19 Portland State University academic departments could soon be on the chopping block for reductions or eliminations. The university president said in a Monday message to staff that a multi-million-dollar budget deficit is driving these decisions. Fox 12's Leslie Dominique talked with students and the faculty union about these latest developments.
The university says they could face a projected $35 million budget deficit by 2028. That's why they're considering cutting or reducing 19 academic departments.
The timing is just super unfortunate because I mean, you look at how people right now are struggling with getting jobs or getting groceries or basic needs. So it's you're adding education to that list too.
Monday, Portland State University President Ann Cudd announced several academic departments could be cut, including university studies and conflict resolution. Others like history, economics, and criminology could face reductions.
And what are all the backstory ties to why there's a $35 million deficit? I would like to know more about that.
Yeah, as a student, you would like to know more?
Totally. I would love more answers.
The administration says the projected deficit is driven by higher costs, limited state funding, and a major drop in enrollment. According to the university, PSU has seen a 23% decline in students since 2019. They're linking it to pandemic-era decreases in community college enrollment and safety concerns about downtown Portland.
I hope PSU figures something out or a way for them to still stay in this university.
The president says any program cuts would impact future students, not those currently enrolled. But with possible program cuts, layoffs could be on the horizon. Faculty Union President Bill Knight says staffers were told in the fall there could be as many as 220 layoffs, though final numbers are still unclear.
We find ourselves situated at PSU after a decade of failure to recruit and enroll students here and to connect students with employment, internships and employment possibilities that make this place legibly an opportunity. We have a chance to succeed at a much higher level than we have.
Union members say they've been lobbying lawmakers for additional state funding, but the university did not join a broader push for emergency funds, which they say could have eased this financial burden.
I'm surprised that there's not more funding from large donors or different partners that they would have. It's surprising to me, and it makes me wonder what's going to happen. Is it, are more people going to go into the trades instead?
The university has made it clear that nothing is yet set in stone. They'll be going through a collaborative review process with the faculty union as well as leaders on campus, and they hope to find a resolution by June. For now, reporting in downtown Portland, Leslie Dominique, Fox 12 Oregon.